yourself to hear once again for QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. Talk about long-lasting joint pain relief with no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. Just in time for the great weather of the spring and upcoming summer to get you back feeling great again so you can get outside and play golf, move again, walk again, pain-free. Pro athletes have been doing this for decades, and now this life-changing treatment is available for you right here in Charlotte at QC Kinetics. Tens of thousands of satisfied patients who reclaim their mobility, and you can get on board with that as well. It's a great use of your tax refund check, by the way, as well. And you can call QC Kinetics for a free consultation to learn more right now at 704-360-3057. And phone number 704-360-3057 with 4 locations right here in the Charlotte area: Waverly, Cotswold, Lake Norman, and Fort Mill. 704-360-3057.
Got some exciting breaking news, folks. I just read in the U.S. News and World Report that out of 18,000 agents, High Performance Real Estate Advisors, powered by Keller Williams Realty, was ranked in the top 10 for real estate companies in the Charlotte region for 2023. Thomas Elrod, to what do you attribute that?
Well, KB, being locally owned, locally grown, and locally known sure helps. Being a household name helps. Serving the Charlotte region for over 20 years helps. And I think the part that separates us the most is we aren't transactional with our clients. We're relational. We like to treat our clients like we would our grandmother or another loved one.
Yeah, my wife and I had the same experience. We didn't feel you or your team were pushy at all. We felt like you had our best interest at heart and made the process really pain-free. When we were selling our uptown property, you even brought us more than what it ended up appraising for. If you're in the market for hiring a realtor who treats you like their grandmother, then reach out to the only agents I trust at highperformancerealestate.com. That's highperformancerealestate.com, and they'll see you at the closing table.
It's Walker Mail from Wesley Walker. Join us 12 to 3. We'll break down Blue Panther roster decisions and hear what EVP of the Hornets, Jeff Peterson, has to say. All on Sports Radio 92.7 WFNZ.
Should I wipe him with? The doggy that we played with? The doggy that we're playing with. Pet it. Can I put it on my hand? It's my toy. That I got for my birthday. Can I get my toy that I got for my birthday?
Listen, we're not going to try to pry too much out of Smoke more than he's comfortable with at this point, but it does sound like after a successful first date for Smoke late last week, that there is a date number 2 on the horizon. We did take some suggestions. What was it, Friday? It was Friday's show, right? Yeah. Yeah, Friday's show, we took some suggestions, assuming that there would be a date number 2. You've clinched, to use some sports parlance here, you have clinched date number 2. Yes, it's just a matter of where this is going to happen.
Yes.
Oh, that's exciting. Do you have any thoughts on where you're going to do this, or do you need more listener suggestions?
I have some thoughts, but I'm wanting to keep it close to the vest.
All right, but you're open to listener suggestions for date number 2 in the Charlotte region, yes?
Yes, I'm not against it.
All right, so we've been trying to coax Smoke into the dating scene for years now. He finally leapt on last Thursday. I mean, just a wildly successful date. My man stayed at the restaurant talking with the date until closing time last week. And then she asked for his number, and then he got the 5 a.m. text saying she'd like to see him again. So date number 2's on the book. If you want to hit up Smoke on the text line, 704-570-9610, hit him with suggestions for date number 2 in the greater Charlotte region. He'll take them. I still say you should at least consider the Puttery. If you want to do like a daytime date like the Puttery in South End, and I say this is somebody who used to live in South End, done a lot of $1.9 million range that they can spread over a couple of years. But it can save 2.1 if they designate him post June 1st. So if, and then we had the news yesterday before the show. Same thing. Reporting, I believe Jeremy Fowler was the source of this one.
Look at
That
bugs.
Carolina intends to release defensive back Dante
Bugs.
Jackson. So assuming that
Another
those
guy.
happen and that they're both post
There's
June
bugs
1 releases,
everywhere.
it's going to clear up, I believe, let me do some math here, about $8 million in cap space for 2024. So the Bird franchise tag,
Look at us.
league
You can see
salary
they
cap
put in there.
increase. The tag today brought the Panthers back down to about $11.9 million in cap space, right? So just between Hayden Hurst and Dante Jackson alone, those two, assuming that they're post-June 1 designations, and, well, for the purposes of clearing up cap space, they better be, that gets you back to about 20, right? And then there are a couple of other candidates. This is one that we talked a bit about yesterday, too. I think Bradley Bozeman, if they decided to part ways with him, he's a fan favorite. He's loved here in Charlotte. I think a lot of us as people would love to see him and his family stick around because they're salt-of-the-earth humans. Same thing with a guy like Shaq Thompson, but I think Bradley Bozeman would save them 4.4, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and as Joe pointed out yesterday, this is going to be another solid rushing scheme. It looks like Dave Canales, and that was a similar formation or exact same that they were running last year. There's probably some differences, but very similar to what they run last year with Thomas Brown and the fusion at the end on that offense, and that did not fit Bradley Bozeman's style of play as a center. So it's one of those situations too where he just might not fit the style of offense that they want to play as well.
Yeah, I mean, there are things that can be done here to clear up additional cap space. So Dante Jackson, Hayden Hurst, we mentioned Bradley Bozeman. Ian Thomas is due, I think, a $1.5 million roster bonus coming up in about 11 days. He's a candidate. Von Bell's due a $3 million roster bonus coming up in 11 days. I mean, look, some of these, I don't know how you feel about Von Bell. I liked having him back there in the secondary. I don't know how Ejiro Evero feels about life without him, but that's a player that just, first reaction, I'd like to keep around if they could.
Yeah, he kind of got banged up throughout the year this year, so I don't know. I still think he's a very good player. Now, the star of that defensive secondary this past offseason,
You just said that. I just heard
he's
you
entering the
say
last
that.
year of his contract, so that's the more key player that you're worried about. But I don't think they're going to be making a massive move in the defensive secondary outside of Dante Jackson in terms of letting guys go. I feel like you kind of want to keep a guy like Von Bell, even if his season in Carolina last year wasn't amazing, spectacular.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, but not much about last year was spectacular, right? If you're looking for spectacular, amazing, fantastic individual play, it's going to be, you're not going to find that in most places on this roster last year. This is a horrible play. No, look, this feels like
Whoever
this is
says
like a rebuild, doesn't it?
Yeah, like honestly, I'm going in this year, and your hopes and expectations, I feel like as a fan, just hope that this upcoming season's a lot like 2024 or 2011.
Yeah, a year ago, the then sitting incumbent general manager stood up on the press conference stage and said, we feel like we've got a roster we can drop a quarterback into now. That turned out to be anything but the case. And so when you have that level of catastrophe, then firing your coach 11 games in, all the chaos that ensued, it probably is time to go on and, rip the Band-Aid off and start really retooling this roster the way you should have, maybe more effectively before Bryce Young got here. Woody from Stanley Forever, he's hitting me up and he says, first of all, KB, what the hell are we going to do with Jeremy Chin? That one feels like it's just a foregone conclusion, doesn't it? I mean,